classes about lid inflammations and lid lumps. Coming to lid inflammation, we have blepharitis. Starting with the blepharitis, we start with blepharitis. So, what is blepharitis? It is the subacute inflammation of the eyelid margins, and it is the chronic disease. The symptoms consist of tired, itchy, and sore eyes, which are worse in the morning, and there will be many crusting of the lid margin. Classification is classified into anterior and posterior blepharitis, and both are strongly associated with seborrheic dermatitis, atopic eczema, and acne rosacea. Classification, it can be of bacterial blepharitis or seborrheic or squamous blepharitis, mixed staphylococcal with seborrheic blepharitis, posterior blepharitis or meibomitis, and parasitic blepharitis. These you can see the crusting of the lashes. See the crusting of the lashes. This is a severe case, and you can see seborrheic or dandruff-like materials which are in the lid margins. Coming to anterior blepharitis, inflammation is located in the outside surface of the lid margin, which is especially in the lash line. And signs are renewed redness and scaling of the lid margin, difference in the form of a collarette around the lashes, reduction in the number of lashes, and some lash bases may be ulcerated, which is a sign of staphylococcal infection. So, what is the treatment? Anterior blepharitis, we have to take cleaning with a cotton bud, so which is treated with bicarbonate or diluted baby shampoo to remove the damaged debris from the lash line. And topical steroid are used infrequently. One more thing is topical fusidic acid plus systemic antibiotic in staphylococcal disease. Next thing is posterior. So we divided into anterior blepharitis and posterior blepharitis. It is mainly, so posterior is mainly the meibomian glands, right? So it is meibomian gland dysfunction, and the signs include obstruction and clubbing of the meibomian orifices, thick and cloudy and expressed meibomian secretions, and injection of the lid margin and conjunctiva. Injection of congestion. So congestion of the lid margin, and there is congestion of the conjunctiva, and there can be tearful abnormalities and punctate keratitis. So how to treat the posterior blepharitis? You give hot compressions and lid massages, oral tetracyclines, and artificial ears to prevent the dryness. Next is about the lid lumps. So we can use chalazion, acute hard audiolum, internal and external, and malignancies. Chalazion, it is a granuloma within the tonsil plate, causing mainly caused by the obstruction of the meibomian gland, and usually it is painless. You see the nodular swelling, and symptoms are unsightly lid swelling, resolve with within 6 months. If the lesion persists, we remove surgically, that is incision and curettage. We put that incision vertically on the inside of the conjunctiva and curette all the contents. So this is the normal meibomian gland, whereas when the duct gets obstructed, it forms the lump. Okay. So all these are the chalazions. When it is in the state, it will have pain. Now it won't have any pain. Only this painless only present in the lid margin due to obstructed meibomian gland orifices. And acute. So what chalazion is? Chronic condition. Acute condition is painful, which is audiolum. It can be internal or external. So there is abscess in the meibomian gland, and it is painful. So it responds to topical antibiotics and anti-inflammatories, and incision may be necessary. So usually it consists of inflamed swelling, and it is painful, and it has redness and pus collection. Acute audiolum externum, it is an abscess in the eyelash follicle, and it is most cases of self-limiting. Treatment is removal of associated eyelash, which is called epilation, and application of hot compresses. So hot compresses also helps to let out the pus which is collected, and there is pus pointing with the eyelash. So epilation will remove the let out or give way for the pus to come out. So this is Pallasian treatment. Usually it is done under aseptic conditions. We put the Pallasian clamp over the conjunctival side and put an incision vertically, not horizontally, because it will cut most of the clamps. So usually we put the incision vertically and then what we do, pull it out. All the contents we pull it out. Next, some molluscum contagiosum. So it is a viral infection of the skin or mucous membranes, and it is usually caused by the pox virus. What you see is a typical umbilicated lesion found on the lid margin, and it has irritation, redness, and follicular conjunctivitis. You can see a small accretion of lymphoid tissue found on the conjunctiva. Treatment is by excision of the lesions. So typical is umbilicated lesion. That is the main thing. Next is Piasis palpebral. That is, this is the insect or Piasis which gets it's on your eyelid margins. Okay, and it causes itchiness and irritation. So coming to the what all the exam questions you can get: Chiasis, distichiasis, ectropion, and leading of lip swellings, and ellagion, litritis, syndrome. Next important topic is about tumors of the eyelids. So all types of tissues are present, which include skin, connective tissue, glandular tissue, blood vessels, nerves, and muscles. We already saw in the lid anatomy. So all these things are present in the lids. So according to that, we classify into benign tumors, precancerous condition, or malignant tumors. So what all the benign tumors? It consists of simple papilloma, nevus, angioma, hemangioma, neurofibroma, sebaceous adenoma, keratoacanthoma, and melanocytic nevus. First is papilloma, simple papilloma. It is the most common benign tumors arising from surface epithelial cells, and squamous papillomas and seborrheic keratosis. So it can be two types. One is it can be pedunculated. Pedunculated is having a stem or something which is connected to tissue, or it can be sessile, which does not have any attached stem like this. It can be pedunculated or it can be sessile. Next is squamous papillomas, which usually we call it as viral warts. So it is derived from the squamous epithelium. Usually it occurs in adults involving the lid margins. It is very slow growing or it can be stationary. So these are raspberry-like growths. Again, it can be pedunculated or sessile. And human papilloma virus is non-specifically involved. It is called viral wart or verruca vulgaris. So what is the treatment? You can simply excise it, or you can do some laser ablations. Histology. So what is there in the histology of viral wart? It has finger-like projections of fibrovascular connective tissue. And there is also epidermis acanthosis. What is acanthosis? Increased thickness and hyperkeratosis, ready ridges or elongated and bent inwards. Next is seborrheic keratitis, keratosis or basal cell papillomas. These are derived from the basal cells. Whereas those squamous are derived from the squamous cells. It is usually common in the elderly, which can be middle-aged or older persons. Usually they are discrete, greasy, and brown lesions, friable and verrucous surface, and flat stuck on appearance, slightly pigmented. Xanthelasma is common liquid containing bilateral lesion, and usually it occurs in middle-aged or elderly, usually associated with hyperlipidemia. It can be upper lid or lower lid skin near the inner canthus. And it is creamy yellow, subcutaneous or plaque-like lesions, lipid-laden histiocytes in the dermis. And usually they only for cosmetic reasons. Otherwise, it doesn't cause any problem. And in these persons, we also have associated diabetes mellitus and raised serum cholesterol and LDL. So these are the xanthelasma. As I told, excision is just for cosmetic use. common tumors are eyelids, and there are three forms. Hemangioma. So common tumors in the eyelids, and there are three forms like capillary hemangioma, nevus flammus, and cavernous hemangioma. Strawberry nevus, it includes capillary hemangioma. These are the most common tumors present at or shortly after birth, and rapid growth usually occurs quickly in the first year of life. Predilection for the upper lid resolves spontaneously usually by 7 years. And it is superficial and bright red in color, hence we call it as strawberry nevus, and deep bluish or violet in color. Cumulative veins, red lesion, branches, pressure, and is well on drying. Actually, it contains the proliferating capillaries and endothelial cells. So this is the capillary hemangioma. It starts a small red lesion and most frequently on the upper lid, and it may be associated with intra-orbital lesion and grows quickly during the first year and blanches with pressure and swells on drying and begins to involute spontaneously during the second year. Next is very popular hemangioma, systemic associations include high output failure, Kasabach-Mallet syndrome, which includes thrombocytopenia, anemia, and reduced Werlein factors, and Kaposi syndrome, which includes ring hemangiomas, endochondromas, and curving of long nodes. This is the HP of capillary hemangioma, which shows the nodules of capillaries and fine fibrous surface. And strawberry nevus, which is capillary hemangioma, and treatment consists, it can be left untouched until 7 years of life, unless it is very large or the patient is threatened by amblyopia due to ptosis of the ring. And laser treatment can be done for very early lesions. Most commonly used is intralesional steroids. You can use systemic steroids also, or subcutaneous interferon alpha 2b or surgical resection is the last option. If it is that is capillary hemangioma, that is very small tumors, you can go for laser treatment or excision. Medium size is intralesional steroids. More commonly used is triamcinolone acetonide, and large diffuse tumors you use high dose therapy or alternate day treatment. And if it is very large, well-defined treatments, you can also use superficial radiotherapy. Next is Port-Wine stain or nevus flammus. It is rare congenital lesion on face. Subcutaneous cavernous hemangioma, usually it is umbilical and segmental, and it can be continue again with hemangiomas. So it is of three forms: capillary hemangioma, nevus flammus, and cavernous hemangioma. In strawberry nevus, which is capillary hemangioma, it is the most common tumors present at or shortly after birth, and rapid growth usually grows quickly during the first year of life, and predilection for the upper lid and resolves spontaneously by 7 years. Superficial bright red in color, and that is why it is called strawberry nevus, and deep bluish and violet in color. Unilateral raised red lesion which blanches with pressure and may swell on crying. This is the capillary hemangioma. It starts as a small red lesion, most frequently on the upper lid, and may be associated with intraorbital lesion and grows quickly during the first year. Blanches with pressure and swells on crying, begins to involute spontaneously during the second year. And periocular hemangioma, systemic associations include high output heart failure, Kasabach-Merritt syndrome, and thrombocytopenia, anemia, and reduced coagulant factors. And Maffucci syndrome includes skin hemangiomas, skin chondromas, and bubbling of long bones. HPU of capillary hemangioma shows lobules of capillaries and fine fibrous septate. And this strawberry nevus, if it can be treatment is it can be left until untouched until 7 years unless it is very large and vision threatened by amblyopia due to ptosis or squint. Laser treatment for very early lesions and mostly used as intralesional steroids, systemic steroids, subcutaneous interferon alpha 2b, and surgical resection. If it is small tumors, go for lasers, medium-sized intralesional steroid, and large diffuse tumors is with high-dose steroid therapy. Large, well-defined tumors can go for superficial radiotherapy. Portwine stain, it is rare congenital lesion on the face. Subcutaneous cavernous hemangiomas, usually unilateral or segmental. Sporadic or as a part of Stewart-Weaver syndrome, and it is usually sharply demarcated, soft and pink patch. Large ectatic vessels, does not blanch with pressure. With age, the lesion does not grow or regress, but changes in color and nature occurs. So initially it is red and flat, then it becomes subsequent darkening and hypertrophy of the skin, and later the skin becomes coarse, nodular, or friable. Extensive lesions, what are the associations? Extensive lesions involve second and third divisions of the trigeminal nerve, and ipsilateral glaucomas, which occurs in 30%, and ipsilateral choroidal hemangioma and Stewart-Weaver syndrome, and endophilo-trigeminal angiomatosis or clipal crinoid Weaver syndrome in 5%. Treatment involves erbium laser in early life, which is very effective. Coming to cavernous hemangiomas, it is a developmental lesion after the first decade of life, and large endothelium-lined vascular channels are present, and there are no regression. Treatment involves laser or excision and steroids or oral steroids or intralesional steroids and superficial radiotherapy. And coming to neurofibroma, the lids and orbits are commonly involved in neurofibromatosis 1, solitary neurofibroma and plexiform type. Proliferation of Schwann cells, fibroblasts, and nerve axons are present, and upper lid, it is S-shaped ptosis is common. Treatment involves solitary lesions, you go for simple excisions, and plexiform lesions, you go for debulking surgeries. Keratoacanthomas, it is uncommon tumors, non-pigmented protrusions, and central keratin-filled crater with rolled edges, grows rapidly for 2 to 6 weeks, and spontaneously involute for over a few months or 1 year. Usually the differential diagnosis is squamous cell carcinoma. So treatment is complete excision biopsy. If incomplete, difficult to differentiate HPE from squamous cell carcinoma. Keratoacanthomas has lesions above the surface epithelium, central keratin-filled crater, and chronic inflammatory cellular infiltration of the dermis. Nevus or nevi, it is most common, and arrested epidermal melanocytes tend to become more pigmented at puberty. And types include junctional nevi, dermal or intradermal nevi, and compound nevi, which are slightly elevated with both the above features. So these are the dermal, junctional, and compound nevi. And coming to the pre-malignant tumors, you have actinic keratosis and xeroderma pigmentosum. Actinic keratosis, it includes solar keratosis, which is rare, but it occurs in usually in fair-skinned and elderly people, and the eyelids are most commonly involved, and most often it is due to excessive exposure to sunlight, and potential to transform into squamous cell carcinoma. It is the most common pre-malignant lip condition. Persistent scaly plaque occurs, and usually we go with biopsy. Xeroderma pigmentosum, it is autosomal recessive disease, progressive cutaneous pigmentation, skin damage on exposure to sunlight, and typical is bird-like facies, and predisposition to develop lid tumors includes basal cell carcinoma, squamous cell carcinoma, melanoma, and conjunctival malignancies. Coming to malignant tumors, first is basal cell carcinoma. It is the most common malignant eyelid tumor. Most frequently, elderly patients are affected, and most frequently, 50% arises from lower lids, then 25% from medial canthus, upper lid 15%, and outer canthus 5 to 10%. It is slow growing and locally invasive, but not metastasizing. And lymph nodes are usually not affected. Basal cell carcinoma risk factors include age, fair skin, chronic exposure to sunlight, xeroderma pigmentosa, and basal cell nevus syndrome. And clinical types include nodulo-ulcerative type, which is the most common presentation. It is small, shiny, pearly nodule with small dilated blood vessels on its surface. Later, it goes on for central ulceration with raised and rolled edges with dilated blood vessels over its lateral margins. It locally destroys the tissues by burrowing like a rodent, which is called rodent ulcer. So the pictures showing chronic ulceration and raised out rolled edges with bleeding. The other types are sclerosing BCC or morphea type. It has a indurated plaque which may distort the eyelid or simulate unilateral chronic nephritis, and non-ulcerated nodular BCC and pigmented BCC. HPE shows a dermis invasion by irregular basaloid cell mass and peripheral palisading appearance. And the treatment involves surgical local excision with 3 millimeters normal skin plus primary repair, and frozen section biopsy is by most microsurgical technique, or you can go for radiotherapy and cryotherapy. In inoperable cases, we go for palliative treatment. Squamous cell carcinoma, it is the second commonest malignant tumor of eyelid, incidence of 5%, and it occurs in elderly, arises from the mucocutaneous junction. And in the lower lids, it arises de novo or from pre-existing solar or actinic keratosis, Bowen's disease, or radiation dermatosis. Risk factors include sun exposure, radiation exposure, fair skin, injury, insults by irritants, AIDS, following renal transplants. Differences is usually does not manifest surface vascularization and grows more rapidly. And clinical types include plaque type, nodular type, and ulcerating type. So it can be nodular or it can be ulcerative. And other types are cutaneous form and fungating or polyploid. So where does it metastasize? Usually to the preauricular lymph nodes and submandibular lymph nodes, and treatment is the same as basal cell carcinoma. Next is HPE, which shows a whorled arrangement in the well-differentiated forms, whereas and it also typically shows epithelial keratin whorls, laminated keratins present in the center. Next is sebaceous gland carcinoma. It is a rare tumor, whereas it is common in India. Most frequently arises from meibomian glands, or Z's, or sebaceous glands of Caruncle. More commonly occurs on the upper lid, and it occurs in elderly females, and it is a very slow glowing tumor. Early stages, subtle signs are present and can be missed as chalazion. Mortality is 5 to 10%. Poor prognostic factors include unilateral involvement, size 10 millimeters or more, and duration of symptoms is more than 6 months. Clinical types include nodular meibomian gland carcinoma, it is discrete, hard, immobile nodule. Another type is spreading type, which has diffuse thickening, loss of flashes, and it behaves like chronic nephritis. HPE shows lobules of cells with pale, foamy cytoplasm and large hyperchromatic nuclei, and it stains positive for lipids. Coming to melanoma, it is a rare tumor of lids, and de novo, it can arise or from the melanocytes of the skin, or it may also arise from a pre-existing nevus. Characteristic features include irregular margins, asymmetrical shape, variation in color, and size more than 6 millimeters. So this is showing nodular type, ulcerative type, and lentigo maligna. Types of melanoma include superficial spreading melanoma. It is mildly elevated pigmented lesion with irregular margins. Nodular melanoma is a rapidly growing lesion with visibly pigmented, ulcerates and bleeds frequently, or it can be arising from lentigo maligna, which is flat, pigmented, well-defined lesion, initially elevated when the dermis is inward later. Treatment includes, it is a radio-resistant tumor, and surgical excision with 10 millimeters margin. Can go for frozen section for confirmation, followed by lid reconstruction. Metastasis, it can go to local spread, distant metastasis to the lymphatics and by the blood. Treatment is by biopsy. Incisional biopsies include shave biopsy and punch biopsy, or excisional biopsy. Surgical excision is with the standard frozen section and most micrographic surgery. Reconstruction is with small, moderate, or large defects. Anterior or posterior lamellar reconstruction with graft. Radiotherapy includes small, can be given for small BCCs and Kaposi sarcoma. It is the most radiosensitive, and cryotherapy for small superficial BCCs. And laser microsurgeries can be done for well circumscribed BCCs of lid margins without conjunctival extension.